What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and it does seem like the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel is ramping up for a 2020 release based off of the frequency that Monolith Soft is continuing to add or call out for new staffers. So back in March of 2019, Monolith Soft put out a call for people to join their team to work on the Legend of Zelda series. For those who don't know, Monolith Soft has multiple different teams. I think they're up to 5 teams, and a lot of their other teams work on helping out Nintendo's other projects, mainly the Legend of Zelda series. Nintendo and Monolith Soft, which Nintendo owns Monolith Soft, but Monolith Soft, the company, has been helping out with Legend of Zelda games since 2011 with Skyward Sword, so even before that. So they are very familiar with work on the Legend of Zelda series, and back in March they put out that call, and now again there's been another call to help out with the Legend of Zelda series. So they're looking for a host of different positions here, from technical artists, programmers, planners, designers, and management support. And on top of that, Monolith Soft is also looking for freelancers to take on character modelers, concept art designers, scenario planners, and map modeler positions. Now, how does this actually relate to the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild coming out in 2020? What is the link? Here's the thing, guys. As you go on with development and you potentially need more things to be done, or if your team already has a lot on their plate and you want to get something done in a certain time period, usually what you do is you continue to add staff members mid-development so you can make that push, so you don't have to crunch certain members of the team to continuously do so much work. And on a game like the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, that's going to be pretty vast in scope because we saw what the original game did. So the sequel obviously is going to be bigger, just as big, and add even more elements to the table. They definitely want to make sure that they can get that done without crunching all of the development staff for time, and they're going to need more people to do that. Since they're adding people mid-development of the game, we're guessing that the game has already been in development since 2017, considering they already announced the game at E3. So they were so confident to announce the game, and they already had a nice in-game engine show. It seems like the story is already completed in terms of what they want to do. It does seem like they're ramping it up, getting people down at this point so they can really kind of nail down working and get this game done in 2020 with about another year or so of development time, or right around that, right? It looks like they're really trying to ramp up and kind of put people so they can get it done. And I think that Monolith Soft, obviously, they've done amazing work on their own games with huge RPGs as well. Xenoblade Chronicles, we all know what Monolith Soft can do. Monolith Soft did a fantastic job in terms of the modeling and giving the Zelda team a scope and scale to kind of work off of and experience in the open world genre. So it makes sense that they're continuing to add people in order to get Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild done. But is the game going to come out in 2020? I mean, this is the question that so many people have talked about. There's been countless other discussions and videos on, and I personally feel with these multiple calls to get more people working on it, if it was coming out in 2 years from now or something like that, but I honestly feel that they really want to get this game done in 2020, because that would be 3 years plus between the original release of the game. And also in 2020, guys, the next generation systems come out from Microsoft and Sony. Nintendo Switch is obviously going to be in a nice position because it's going to have a ton of system units out there. But what do you do when you don't have a shiny new system? Well, you probably have some shiny new games that are just as big as what else is coming out in the industry, and that would be a game like the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, or the sequel or follow-up, because the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was the best-selling Zelda game of all time, obviously game of the year for so many different places out there in 2017. I think a 2020 fall release holiday title, Breath of the Wild, maybe with some nice bundles or some nice like special editions like they did with the first game, that would be absolutely amazing and definitely get a lot of people to see what the Nintendo Switch is doing. People have talked about like a Switch Pro and all of that. Not so sure about all of that, guys. I'm just talking about the games when it comes down to it. And I think that if you look at Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and what they did with the first game, like if you're using that as a base canvas, that is just absolutely beautiful, right? They're probably using that as a base canvas to really just kind of nail down what they kind of did wrong with the first game and kind of get all of those improvements, get the different stuff, take some feedback, and kind of make this game even better. And with Monolith Soft helping out as much as they are, in addition to the Zelda team already having experience in terms of what they did with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, to me, this is going to be the ultimate sequel that we've ever seen, man. I think this is going to be really good. A Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2 type of jump. And that's exciting because Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was already really, really good. So these new staffers here are going to help out. They're going to help crunch the game so we can get it in 2020. That's just my thought process, at least. You never know though, guys, right? It could go to 2021. There always could be delays. There could be something that comes up that stops this game, but I do initially feel, at least based off of what we've seen so far, based off of the timing and kind of what they're doing with the engine, kind of reusing what they've got, I think that it is going to be a 2020 title. And just based off of that first debut trailer, it wasn't a teaser, it wasn't all CG, it wasn't weird in terms of how they did with Breath of the Wild and, Mr. Anuma, like in front of a green screen and showing you here's this and just, different things. It was literally story elements set up to kind of give you the setting, the tone, what they want to do. Link and Zelda right there. That to me just showed a lot. And then you have this continuing work of them adding a bunch of people in. They are spending the human resources in order to get this done. So I just feel that it is going to be a 2020 type of game. Now, another thing that I wanted to speak on before the end of this video was what they're going to do to improve the game in terms of my keys. I think that what they can do, and obviously I think like the weapon breaking mechanic, that doesn't necessarily need to completely go, but I just feel that they can modify it to the point to where you can reinforce your weapons. Maybe you can get some things that make it to where your weapons don't break for a really long time, or you can fix your weapons. I think a crafting system in order to supplement, if you want to do the whole, I would say, strategy behind weapon breaking, just make a crafting system at your home to where you can fortify weapons and you can fix broken weapons. And I think that completely fixes, well, for most people, the problem with what they see with weapon breaking and all of that. Now, another thing, of course, is dungeons. And I think that dungeons have I would say people talk about them in terms of wanting them. I think there's a lot of people who don't want to be locked in dungeons and stuck and doing all these puzzle stuff because it takes away from the action, right? Because you have the shrines, and the shrines are much smaller scale puzzles, and you can just leave if you don't feel like being there, right? Heck, you don't even have to do the Divine Beast stuff. So I think that what they should do is this. What they should do is this with dungeons. They should make it to where dungeons for the most part are optional. But if you do seek out a hidden dungeon, and there needs to be hard puzzles in there, if you beat that, you get something really good. You get a really good crafting piece. You get a really cool weapon. You get something substantial to reward your play for finding these dungeons, for solving the puzzles. Like, I don't want to go through a dungeon and get a heart piece, I don't want something like that, or 100 rupees or something stupid, I want to go through, I want to get something substantial, which is why shrines at times felt really good, then also felt kind of like, I kind of got nothing. I kind of got this stupid weapon after this shrine, and of course the orb to help increase your life and all that, but that's been there, done that. I think they need to make sure when they do add dungeons in there, it's not just dungeons for, all right, okay, you get this weapon, then you beat this boss, but actual optional dungeons that give you value and add some really cool things if you take the time to seek out, find those dungeons, solve the puzzles. If they do that, I think that one, you please people that want those puzzles and those dungeons and everything, but also you please people that just want to play the game and explore and actually have some meaning behind what weapons they get or what they're doing. So I'm hoping that that's what they do with dungeons going forward, and it's not like a mandatory thing that you have to go through and it's the same structure as before. So I'm hoping they kind of infuse some new ideas into the formula, just like they infused a lot of new ideas into the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, here's the thing, guys. The last thing would be story. Obviously, we've talked about story before. They need to improve it and all that, but I am already confident that the story is going to be better. And the reason why is because of what they already showed us, right? With Link and with Zelda and with that beginning with Ganon and all of that in that dungeon, it already tells me that there's going to be more of a focus on story. Because if you look at the first game, what was the focus on? It was, hey, you have this huge canvas, this huge open world to kind of go through and explore and to play. So that was the focus of the game. Now that that is built, they can go back to saying, hey, we still have that huge focus, right? They showed that huge world at the end of the debut trailer, but then they also showed the story element in there, which is what they didn't do with the first game, where it was just all about the gameplay. So I think now that they have the base canvas built, they're gonna add that extra layer of story that everyone is saying that, hey, we kind of want this in there. I'm personally a gameplay person first, so if the gameplay is really good, the story just needs to hit a certain minimum level of fine or good, and for me, Breath of the Wild did that. But there's definitely those who want that extra added oomph into their story, and I think Breath of the Wild 2, or the sequel, whatever you want to call it, is going to have that. So what are you guys' thoughts on what Monolith Soft is doing here, putting out this call for more people to help with the Legend of Zelda series? Do you think the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is going to make it for holiday 2020? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for this RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.